Hi there, this is Kat the Christian Baker, and today I am bringing you delicious pumpkin pie. Yes, that's right. You're going to get the Libby's 100% pure. That means you can do 2 pies from this can. If you get the small one, you can do that too. Make sure that it's not the easy one. Okay, some ingredients should be listed on the bottom of your screen right there, and I'm just going to go ahead and start. The music in the background, and if you guys watch any of my videos, you know that I have Christian music playing, all kinds of music. Until now, I have classical today. Up so recently, I have not like classical, but I got this from, I think it was my grandfather. He passed away so many years ago, and I just got this handed down from a family member. I love it. I love it. This is Baroque. Antonia Vivaldi, 1675 to 1741, and the first one is Jean-Joseph Moret. I think that's how you say it. 4 Seasons. There we go. That is what it looks like. I'm sure it's kind of an oldie. So this is what I like. And the next song is called Pachelbel's Right Now Canon, which is, I didn't know that, is the wedding march. So, here we go. Okay, we're going to come on down here. Yes, and we're going to do some pumpkin pie. The first thing I'm going to do is push that away and make sure that your little KitchenAid appliances are clean. No dust in them, no little crannies from washing like I have. I have a scrumptious crust, a pie crust that I'm going to show you how to make today. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, only because it's going to take a long time to put together, but I will definitely share the recipe with you. Okay. What is going on here now? Alright, all set. Rock and rolling. We're going to take 2 eggs, and we're going to scramble them. Make sure that you got everything plugged in and on and ready to go. Let me see, that one kind of broke as it went in, but I think it was just because it came from a height. Alright. So you're gonna take this, you're gonna lock it up. Can you see where I'm at right now? There we go. Oh, the mouse goes away. You're just gonna put this on, using the paddle attachment, not the whisk, and I'm just gonna whisk that up. Okay. I'm gonna take my sponge and wipe away that remnant of the egg. You know, when you break an egg, they get kind of messy. And it's not going to be this big, long, drawn-out process. I'm going to stop it. There's a little bit of a bulk of white right there, and I don't want anything. It's just a bit of an egg white. Oh, that was by accident. And I don't want an egg white, just, I want to make sure it's all incorporated. Okay, now I believe that it is. Now, what does the can say to do next? It says, the eggs in a large bowl, stir in pumpkin. And it says, mix sugar, salt, cinnamon, all your spices that you want to use, and I have more that I use today, and in a bowl, and set that aside. But we're going to have some eggs and stir in my pumpkin. So, being that I'm always get everything messy when I do this part, I'm just going to take this off, and that way I don't have to squeeze this in a little space, or I could have left that there and taken my bowl off. Okay. I hope that I'm going to have enough pumpkin here. For some reason, this is 29 ounces, and in order to make 2 pies, you're going to need 30 ounces. I don't know why they just didn't make a 30-ounce can. That was kind of silly. But amazingly, it all works. Remember not to throw out your can because you're going to need it for the instructions. So this part is actually very simple. Okay. Gotta throw this back on here. So I just washed both of these things, so it's kind of getting sticky. What else? Certain pumpkin and sugar spice mixture. Okay, today for my sugar spice mixture, I used some allspice. I used some ginger, which is what it asked for. I used some pumpkin pie spice. I used cinnamon. And I used some nutmeg. I love nutmeg. You can choose not to do that. It tells you what spices to use on the can. And they are cinnamon, ginger, and cloves. I like to add extra spice because I love my pumpkin pie. Very flavorful. So I'm just putting these things back here. So I put in my pumpkin. And in this dish, I put in my sugar. I had to half the recipe. I halved the recipe. I put in my sugar and all the spices in here, and I whisked it all up. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to pour this right into that. And just let it go. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at a different couple other things. I'm making some food a little bit later, so I have stuff going on the stove. And I'm just going to just slowly go into that. Make sure you clean your space as you go, that way you don't get anything sticking. I'm going to turn this up a little bit more. Oh, you just smell that. I mean, it's not cooking yet. And when it cooks, it really just turns everything up. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to keep this going on like a low. This is on number 2 if you're doing your KitchenAid. And you're going to slowly pour in a whole can. And I'll tell you how many ounces when it's done. A whole can of evaporated milk, not condensed, evaporated. You can choose whole 2% is what I have. Little dribbles left, and this is a 12 fluid ounce can. They either come in these kind is the most that you have. You can use generic, you can use the carnation. Yeah, these kind. That's proper English, right? Just let that go. Okay. I'm gonna bring this up. Usually with a KitchenAid, it gets all little nook and crannies, it gets in everywhere, so you really don't have to do this step. Okay, I'm just gonna make sure it's okay. And what is the rest of it? We did the eggs, we did the pumpkin, we did the sugar spice mixture, we did the milk just now, and then it says pour into pie shells. So I'm gonna keep this going on low. Not that it really needs it, but just keep it on. I'm going to keep it on stir. Okay. And if you're still following with me, in this bowl right here, I have 2 cups of flour. Now I'm going to give you the whole recipe, and the whole recipe is so you can do a top and a bottom of a pie, but this recipe is just for the bottom. I have 2 cups of flour and a few dashes of salt, and that's it. Sorry there. Nice to see my rear end in the picture. Okay. I have a Pyrex glass here, liquid measuring cup. And I have this. If you're doing the whole recipe, put it up to half a cup for the oil. Okay? Now, I'm going to stop this. I think that's good. You're going to take your milk and you're going to pour it in until it gets to 3/4. But for me, I'm going to do it till it just gets right underneath that. Make sure you bring it to the edge, that way you can look at it. And there we go. Okay. You're going to take this and you're going to make like a little funnel. You're going to make a hole on the bottom. See, do you see what's going on there? And I'm going to take this and I'm just going to pour this right in there. Okay. And then very carefully, you're just going to keep on folding the ingredients over. Don't worry, you're not going to need extra flour to roll it out. You're not going to roll this out. There are 2 techniques that you can try. Both are when it comes to making and working with pie crusts, it's going to be, now I can tell that this is going to get a little too tacky. But we'll see how it goes. I might need to add in just a little bit more flour. I'm just going to keep on incorporating. Yeah, it's too tacky. Give me 1 minute, I need more flour. You want to make sure that this is kind of moist, but not tacky, not loose. You don't want it loose. Just work with the flour in there. And if you can get it coming up without it rolling into like a very tacky ball, need just a teeny bit, teeny bit more flour. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this off to the side. Oh, goodness. And I'm going to go over and get my pie plate. I just washed it, and I'm going to make sure that it's nice and dry. You never want to put a pie crust onto a wet pie plate. For some reason it has been marbling in the dishwasher. I don't know why. But, okay. And then when you work this around, and you can pick it up with your hand, you're going to feel the oil on it. But you're also going to make sure it's floured. Do that over the bowl, and that way you can put your hands kind of like when you're flouring. See, this is very tacky. You can tell that there's too much oil. It's kind of like a work and go. It's a work in progress. It's not going to be like a simple recipe and then that's it. Working with pie crust is, for some, it can be very difficult. Now when this starts being spreadable without being too tacky, is when you can put it in your pan. Okay, but I'm just going to first, there's a little bit of flour left on the bottom, and I'm just going to work that. We're not kneading this. We're just bringing it into a little ball, because to knead this right now would break it up, and you don't want to break up your crust. And I think that has a really good marble on it, okay? You don't want too much of a marble. You want it nice and soft. You feel the oil on it, and then you just push it down into your plate. Then you take all your other remnants and just move it out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to show you like maybe a couple minutes with this, but I'm not going to show you the whole thing because last time it took like a really long time to do. And I don't want you sitting there seeing an hour of me doing this. There are two, okay. 15 minutes, great, not bad. There are two techniques with this particular pie crust. Now, I don't have any wax paper today. If you had wax paper, you would tear off a long piece of wax paper about this big. Now, if you can get a longer wax paper, that'd be great. I know that there are lengths in like foils. I don't know if there are lengths in wax paper. If you can get a longer one going this way, and it'd be thick, kind of like a square, that'd be a great thing. You would want it at least, I would say, 2 feet wide. I would say a good 1.5 feet tall. Because when you roll out a pie crust, you want it even on all sides. And sometimes with the wax paper, it gets cut off and then you're going to have to patch. The good thing with this crust is you can patch it. This is a very patchable crust. If something falls off, you pick it up from somewhere else and you just patch it. That's what's good with the milk and the oil in this recipe. And it comes out so super flaky, but to try to do this is a little difficult. So you have to be kind of patient. You've got to be a very patient person with this recipe. Okay, but I don't have any wax paper. But if you did have wax paper, you take some off, you put it on your counter. You put the ball of it, and you can smush it down a little bit. You put it right on top of the wax paper, and you bring off another piece the same size, and you push it down, and then you would roll it out on top of the wax paper. Number one, that would not get your rolling pin dirty. Number two, you wouldn't have to flour the surface, because for some reason with this recipe, I tried it last time, it doesn't work well with flour. This is like an oiled recipe, okay? Or you can smush it down like I do, being that I don't have any wax paper. I have parchment paper. I'm not sure if it would work with that. Wax paper is the best. That's what my grandmother used, and I'm going with her being that this is her recipe. Okay, so last time it took some time. I smushed it down, and you have to make sure it's very thin because it won't cook evenly. But I'll start. Okay, so being that you have all that, you can either do the wax paper technique, and you can take the top off very slowly of the wax paper once it's all rolled out, okay? And then in order to get, and then you would take the wax paper with the crust on it and tip it upside down, kind of like you put a cake on a plate. You put the plate on top, but this time you're putting the pie crust on top of the pie plate. And you would edge it off very carefully with the flat side of the butter knife. That's how you would do it. Being that I'm not doing that, I'm going to just show you a couple minutes of what I did last time. And being that this is super, super nice and moist. And remember that this is Apache, it's Indian. It's a patching kind of pie crust. And it seems like this time it's working even better than it was last time. And you don't want to press in so hard. You want to make sure that you have enough so that you're going to go up on your edges. And maybe I'll get this done in 2 minutes. That'd be great. If not, then I'll just stop the video and pick back up where I got to put that. And if you're, it's going to take maybe 20 minutes. 10 minutes, you might want to just every now and then stir up that pie stuff because you don't want anything settling right before you pour it in. Okay. Now my screen gets dark every once in a while, so I just do that. Certainly you want to be easy with it. You know, when you're going to do pie crust, you've done them before, you know to press in on the side so that way you get a good even. You don't want to get any bubbles. No bubbles. Now, if you don't know how to do a pie crust and you just don't want to even worry about having to do. See, there's a place here where I can patch that in a minute. Then you can use the refrigerated roll-out kind, the Betty Crocker, or if you go to Walmart, the Great Value kind, whatever the generic, if you want to use that. Wow, this seems to be rolling out so much better tonight. I don't know. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. I mean, that's just awesome. But you're also going to want to make sure that wherever has kind of broken up, I have a couple places here and there that are sparse that have broken up. You're going to, and the reason why I'm pushing this to the top is you can have so much of this, and you can take this off, and right there, you can just put it down and patch it. It's kind of like this particular dough is very, very flaky. It's wonderful. The taste is good, and you can put it down kind of like Play-Doh. Okay. And but you're going to want to make enough. Like the whole recipe for this is 2.5 cups of flour. But that's to do a top and a bottom. That's to do like an apple pie. You're going to need a top and a bottom for that. I would do more than the 2.5 cups of flour. My grandmother made it work. I don't know how. God bless her. So you're going to want to keep on pushing up with your thumbs. You're going to keep on working the pie crust. But if you're going to do a top and a bottom, like a cherry pie or a peach pie, and you're going to have like maybe a full crust on top, or maybe a lattice crust, or whatever kind you're doing, you're going to want to do more than the 2.5 cups of flour, and a little bit more of the oil, and a little bit more. See that part? I can just take off right there. And you can just patch that so easily. But make sure that you're patient with it. I'm sorry, I have something on the stove. Let me just go check it out. Okay. That's how small my kitchen is. That took all of 3 seconds. Take some off of there and move it over here. It is oily. It is greasy. I have a lot of grease on my hands if you see that kind of shimmery stuff. The oil there. Make sure that you get all your patches done though. Like there's still some here that I need to patch up. Because you don't ever want to get the mix, whether it's apple, whether it's the butter or the juices from like an apple pie, underneath the dough, because then it will kind of blow up, and that, I mean, your pie won't blow up, but the crust will rise above the pie, and that would not, the filling, and that would not be good. So you might have a little sparseness there, here, you know, here and there, like if you didn't make enough, which I may have not, but okay. I don't like that song, so let's just move on. Okay. And I think that I will leave this. One might be about a half-an-hour video. Right here is a lot. So I can take this, and there's one piece right there that needs to be patched. And don't worry, once it's patched and you have it pushed down, it won't come up. It'll be fine. That'll definitely be fine. And believe me, you do not need to butter the crust on the outside. I was thinking of doing that. It has plenty of oil. It has plenty of liquid ingredient on it, because it's not gonna, it will not dry out whatsoever. Okay, and I believe I'm pretty much done. I couldn't believe this was a lot softer. Probably because, if you have like a hard dough, You might want to put a little bit more oil in it, and I just use canola. I wouldn't suggest using olive oil. I mean, if you try stuff before and you would like to, go for it, but I would not suggest it. Okay, and also you know your limits. Know when to stop. Know when to stop, because sometimes I have OCD and I want to make everything so perfect, and that's good, looking good to me. So let me wash my hands. Actually, I'm going to start up. Make sure those ingredients mix again together. That way when you pour it in, okay. What I would do if I were you, if it's right before you're about to throw this in, I would take it off of 425 and put it down to 350. You only wanted to preheat it. You don't want it to cook at 425. Okay, this and this is garbage. It's going to cook for about 50 minutes. Oh. I don't have the room. Is it gonna go this time? Yeah, it'll go. Take this. And you're gonna take this off of here. And you're gonna pour this right into your oh, this is gonna be good this time. Last time it was like sky high. It was so high. Okay. More dishes. Yay! What I always wanted. Okay, so like I said, and be careful with this process. You got to be so gentle and so easy. And what helps for me, don't pull the tray out of the oven because sometimes you push it in and it jars. So I would just bring your door all the way down and kind of go at it at a corner, you know. So I'm going to throw this in there. This must be already half an hour. Yep, it is. And I don't want it more than that. So, and also when you stick your toothpick in, it should come out clean. It can have a little bit of moisture on it because it's pumpkin pie, and that's what they are. They're very kind of they're moist. Yeah. So I will be back in about an hour, and you can take a look at this delicious, yummy pumpkin pie. Happy holidays. God bless you. Bye. Well, hello there. This pie's done, and I'm ready to do the whipped cream. So what you're going to do is either get some heavy cream, or you can do heavy whipping cream. Now, I already opened this about 4 or 5 days ago, but it's still good. I'm just going to shake it around a little bit and just make sure that there's no clumps or anything. So, I'm ready to put this, moving my mouse again, into my KitchenAid mixer. And this is going to take about 10 minutes, well, 5 minutes to whip up. And when you have soft peaks, then you put in your sugar. You don't put in your sugar right away. And also don't put a lot of sugar in because then it's going to be overly sweet. And if you're already having something sweet, like a pumpkin pie or an apple pie or whatever, you don't want overly. You want it to be nice and creamy. So here we go. You can see my KitchenAid mixer right there. There we go. You know what? There we go. Is that better? Oh, yes, it is. Actually, let me push it more towards you to see if you can maybe get down. There we go. So, I'm going to put remember, I already did about half before that. And what you're going to do, if you want, you can use your splash guard or whatever. You're going to put your whisk down in here. And you're going to put it on. I have it on 4 right now. Let's just start it. And then I'm going to bump it up even more to maybe 6 or 8. But look at this. It's still warm. Look at that. Yes, you can make the same exact pie if you follow all of my instructions. And the instructions of the Libby pumpkin pie mix. You can see this piece right here. Oh yeah. Very flaky, very nice. It doesn't have much flavor to it only because you have the flavor in the pie and you're going to have the flavor in the whipped cream. So that'll be enough. If it starts to get wet, what's going to happen after you take it out of the oven and you let it sit there for a long time, it starts to sweat, which means that all the moisture comes up out of the bottom of it and it starts to sweat, kind of like condensation. Okay, now this is getting a little bit thicker, but I'm going to bump it up one more. There we go. Now that's number 6. When it gets to soft peaks, that's when you want to put your sugar in. I want you to see that. When it gets to soft peaks. It's forming up. It's getting there, but not yet. Also remember to slow it down when it starts to get there. Because if you over mix it, then it's just garbage. So when it gets to soft peaks, which is very close, which is right now. You can see it's on this thing and it's falling off. And it's foamy, but yet it's still liquidy. That is soft peaks. Then I'm going to put I'm putting about a little less than 1/4 cup of sugar in there. Maybe about 3 to 4 tablespoons. You don't need any more than that, believe me. Putting it back on 4. Going back up to 6 now. Can you see it mixing there? And you can't walk away and go do something else while you're doing this. You can't multitask. You've got to sit here and watch it. Because if not, then it's going to overmix, and you do not want that. I think that I almost overmixed mine while sitting here talking to you about not overmixing it. Now if you hold it upside down and it does not move, or if it takes a while for it to fall off, like that's how much I have on it. And if you hold it upside down, which I'm doing right now, I can't do it on that side because there's no space. I can shake it a few times. And if it is still not coming off, you know that that is your whipped cream. I mean, and I'm really shaking this thing. Wow, that is good whipped cream there. I am shaking it. It has taken all that time to get it off there. So I am very satisfied with my whipped cream. Let's taste it. And taste it and taste it. Okay. Now, when you have that much mountain, you can Go in there and beat it out. You're going to give it to a kid to lick. I'm sure they'll love it. I have a dish on the side here that has water in it. And I go in there and I shake it out. I actually did not put enough sugar in here. It's not bland, it's not tasteless, but I could use a little bit more. And then what I'll do is I'll fold it. So before I had just under a quarter of a cup. And I'm whipping it. I'm taking this and I'm doing it by hand. And like I said, you don't want to over whip it. Perfect. So I did just under half a cup of sugar. Okay. Okay. I'm going to take the piece that I put the little whipped cream on right here. It's still warm. And I have this serrated edge right here, so it's not just it's a knife and a pie server at the same time. And I love it because you don't have to change utensils. Usually you're going to have to change a utensil or something in order to cut this. Okay, so that's not a straight line, but it's close. Make sure you get down in there. Oh, it's still warm. See that? But it's not very warm because it has been sitting for about an hour, hour and a half. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow, 9 minutes. Could have another 40-minute video, but oh well. Isn't that a nice looking pie? But now, how much whipped cream do you like on yours? Do you like a little dollop or a whole big dollop? I like a big dollop. And then some. You have it? Look at that. That looks nice. It's my favorite dessert in the world. Except for raspberry rhubarb, which is also another favorite. Let me get a fork. And you might as well also get a nice cold cup of milk to go with this. Taste the whipped cream is good. Let me taste the pie by itself without one of those fancy food tasters. Oh, so good. Let me taste it together. Bye. Gotta go. Nice seeing you. That was so good. Make sure to refrigerate your whipped cream. I would, if you can, if you have a hand mixer, only beat a little bit at a time. That way you're using, unless you're having a party and you're going to use a lot, beat a little bit at a time. That way you don't have to throw any out. And if you leave it in the fridge and it gets it separates the milk and the cream, you might want to try to beat it a little bit with like fold it in with a spatula. Man, this pie has got me tongue twisted. That's all I can say about that. Yes. God bless. Talk to you later. Like the pie. Subscribe, like, follow, message, anything. God bless.